So it's about that time, guys. Here are 5 things I hate about my 4th gen Ram Rebel. What's going on, YouTube? So today we're gonna make a 5 things I hate about the 4th gen Ram Rebel. It always seems like every automotive YouTuber always sort of makes some of these videos for whatever car they have in their possession. I looked, I couldn't find any on the Ram Rebel, so here I am, gonna make one for you. Now this list is for the 4th gen Ram 1500, and a lot of things you're gonna see if you watch this video have definitely been corrected and updated in the 5th gen. So all the complaints that I have here, they're not big deals. They're very minor things, because honestly, I love this truck. It's been my favorite truck I've ever had. Honestly, it's been one of my favorite vehicles I've ever had. So everything I've had to find, it's been very minor things. And you know, it's just for the sake of creating this video and to give you guys a little bit of insight. So first thing I'm gonna list is gonna be the M.D.S. If you don't know what that means, it means multi-displacement system. So basically, when you're driving at highway speeds, the engine will shut down certain cylinders and it'll run on a lower displacement. This isn't just a Rebel thing, but it's not a Rebel thing. It's across the board on all the 1500s with the Hemi, but in my opinion, it sucks. The purpose of it is to try and get you better fuel economy when you're driving at highway speeds or, you know, anything above 50 miles an hour, but it really doesn't save you any gas. And it gives you an absolute horrible exhaust note, especially if you're running an aftermarket exhaust. And the only way to really turn it off is if you have to go ahead and get a tuning module, and then you can go ahead and tune it out. There's no button that you can push to turn it on or off. So in my opinion, it kind of sucks. It doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. It's very annoying, and you don't even have the ability to turn it on or off when you want to use it. So for me, that's going to be number 1 on the list. The M.D.S. multi-displacement system sucks. Now for number 2. If you're on the Rebel Facebook pages, you'll see that there's always a debate, and it always gets people riled up, that the Rebel, it's not really an off-road package, it is an appearance package. I hate to say it, you're not really wrong with that. You know, you don't really get an off-road capable suspension. The tires you get from the factory, yeah, they're pretty good, but you know, they're not the best off-road. And you don't get, you know, a rear locker or anything like that, you know. So in my opinion, what's really so off-road capable about it? Yeah, I know you get the steel bumpers, but again, it's an appearance thing. And especially with the air ride, I don't really trust the air ride too much for going off-road. You know, it's not bad, but it's definitely not capable like, you know, let's compare it, you know, a Raptor. It's not that comparable. So for number 2, I really gotta say, the lack of having a locking differential really sucks. Now I know they went ahead, they threw one in there for the 5th gens. This list, again, is for the 4th gens. They introduced the Rebel for the 4th gens, so in my opinion, it definitely should have had a locking rear diff. Now I know they have an anti-spin differential, so they kind of say like, oh yeah, that's kind of like a locking diff, but it's really not. That's more like an LSD. But for an off-road truck, I think you should definitely have locking rear diffs. They have them on the 5th gen, and they could have easily incorporated the technology that they use in the Wrangler, you know, the Wrangler Rubicon. They could have pulled over the locking diff. They could have brought over the sway bar disconnects, and they could have threw this in here, and it would have been a badass off-road capable truck. And really, they wouldn't have had to do too much R&D. My opinion why they didn't do that is because they knew they had the Gladiator coming out. But again, people that had a Ram 1500, they probably still would have bought a Gladiator if that was, you know, on their radar. I'm gonna have to say, number 2, no locking differential. That's a big bummer. Now, for number 3 on the list, it's kind of bougie, but I think you should definitely have this. Let's jump on inside. So you see, over here, we got heated seats, heated steering wheel, but you see these 2 blanks right here? Those are for ventilated seats, the air-conditioned seats. You can get the air-conditioned seats in other 1500s, but the Rebel, you know, they didn't come with it. At the time, this was one of the highest trim 1500s you could get. So why couldn't you get ventilated seats? To me, that doesn't really make any sense. You know, this is a truck. A lot of people use these trucks for work, and this is, again, supposed to be the off-road capable truck. Off-road meaning you're outdoors, enjoying the weather, enjoying nature. Why don't you have ventilated seats? That just doesn't make sense, especially in a truck that could cost upwards of $50,000. You know, again, maybe they couldn't do it because of you know, I guess like this vinyl middle insert, but I mean, come on, you could have definitely figured it out. Again, I don't know if the 5th gens have ventilated seats. They should, in my opinion, but why they don't have them in the 14 or in the 4th gen, I don't get it. And also, to kind of go along with the lack of ventilated seats, we don't get any auxiliary switches. You know, like you'd see in some of the other off-road trim trucks, you get, you know, built-in auxiliary switches. So if you wanted to wire some lights to it, or a cooler, or an air compressor, or anything like that, you know, your switch panel's already built in there. For this truck, we kind of gotta, you know, do like shit like this, where, you know, it doesn't really look that clean, or we have to go and buy like an S-Pod aftermarket setup, which is gonna cost us, again, you know, $500-600. It really should have built-in switches. And my other complaint, it doesn't have Apple CarPlay. Now, this is 2017. You know, you can even, the 4th gen even went up to 2018. How do you not have Apple CarPlay in this? Again, I think for the 5th gen, they offer CarPlay now. I still don't think they have auxiliary switches. You know, you guys can correct me on that. I've never even been in a 5th gen, so I can't comment on that. But I guess instead of saying that the lack of ventilated seats, I'm just gonna go ahead and say the lack of interior features. Now, number 4 on my list is a love and a hate. This was the thing that drew me towards the Rebel, but as of late, it's given me nothing but nightmares. And I'm assuming you guys already know what it's gonna be. It's that right there. The freaking air ride suspension. When it wants to work, it's cool. You know, it drives really nice. It's super smooth. If you need to load stuff in the back, it's a push of a button. It lowers it back down. You know, I did that a lot of times, loading up a motorcycle in the back or building supply. You know, just drop it down, easier to load. But if you have a problem, it's a fucking nightmare to try and fix it. It's hard as hell to work on. A lot of mechanics and a lot of shops don't know anything about it, and they really don't want nothing to do with it. And even when it comes to the actual dealerships, they don't even know what the hell they're doing most of the time. So it's honestly, in my opinion, it was kind of a fail from Ram. They definitely should have made the air ride an option. Now they went ahead for the 5th gens. It is an option now. It doesn't come standard. In my opinion, that was very smart on their part, based on how many problems that I've seen people have with the actual air ride. But again, being as this is a off-road truck, throwing air ride on it, I mean, I guess it was a cool idea, but it doesn't really make sense. If it was me, I would have threw on a set of coilovers that would have looked and performed a hell of a lot better, and you might have even attracted more customer base to try and jump into a Rebel instead of, you know, going after a Raptor. But yeah, again, it's a love-hate kind of relationship. It makes modifying the truck a hell of a lot harder, more difficult if you wanted to, you know, go that route. So yeah, I mean, when it works, it's cool. It's more novelty, in my opinion, than anything else. But when you have issues like I've had with it for the past few months, and you know, I'm a little bit mechanically inclined, and I still can't even figure out what the hell is going wrong with this thing. So the average Joe that maybe doesn't have a lot of mechanical skills, if they had this problem, I could definitely see why it's a big turnoff to the brand. You know, Ram did the right thing making it an option. But again, that's going to be number 4 on my list. Now, the next thing on my list might not be a big deal for most, but for me, someone who likes working on cars, someone who likes modifying cars, it's kind of a bummer. And it's going to be the lack of aftermarket support that we get for the Ram. And you know, not so much for the Ram, but for the Rebel itself. There's not a lot of bumper choices for the Ram. You know, luckily, you know, I took the plunge. I tested the front and rear bumper. They weren't designed for a Rebel. I figured out that they fit. So for me, very lucky. Hopefully you guys can benefit from that. But if you go ahead and look at some of the other options that you get, you don't really get. I think as far as bumpers go, aftermarket wise, there's Addicted Desert Designs ADD. But again, they're like $2,000 per bumper. You know, you're gonna spend almost $5,000 with shipping if you want to replace the front and rear bumper. That's fucking nuts. And then again, with the air ride or the suspension, if you want to lift a 4th gen Rebel, you have to get an air ride kit, or you need to delete the entire air ride itself. So again, with that, you're looking at spending, you know, $2,600 before installation just to get this thing lifted. That fucking sucks. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. My kit, for example, I have a B.D.S kit, but you don't even get as many parts, in my opinion, as that you would need to do a regular lift kit. So, you know, in a regular lift kit, you're gonna get new struts, you're gonna get new shocks, you're gonna get the cross member. You don't fucking get new shocks and struts. You get a spacer right there that lifts the air strut, and then in the back, yeah, you get the Fox struts right there, but you don't get shocks. It's just the spacer block again. So why is it costing almost twice as much as a full standard lift kit? To me, it doesn't really make much sense. Yeah, I get it. You get the front control arm, but I don't really see where that money's going. I think they overprice them because they know they're not going to sell that many kits, so they price it high to try and offset the cost, you know, that they had to spend for R&D. I get it, but it sucks for the end consumer when you want to go ahead and lift your truck and you're having to spend almost $3,000 on just a kit. And then the even harder part is trying to find a shop that even knows how to do it, because a lot of shops don't even want to touch it. And to me, I don't really understand why there's not that much aftermarket support for the Ram itself. If you look for the Silverado or you look for the F-150, there's fucking millions of parts you can get. But for the Ram, we're kind of giving the short end of the stick. And for someone like me, that really fucking sucks. So there you have it, guys. The 5 things I hate about the 4th gen Ram Rebel. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate that, guys. And stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you guys later.